Alright, well, a couple or few weeks ago we made, I showed you how to make porridge, and I mentioned that with our porridge we usually have scrambled eggs as well. So we've been doing that for over a decade, and I wanted to show you how to do this. So for our family, we just do a dozen eggs when we have our chickens laying in the spring. We will definitely have more. And just a moment. Hey, John. Porridge is boiling. Alright. Part of running the kitchen for so many people, we have multiple people handling the food, so it helps to communicate. So, the eggs. Let's see here. 1 dozen eggs. I already have most of them cracked, but I do want to show you how to crack them. And a stick of butter in the pan. The most important part of this whole process, especially for eggs, is practice. To figure out how to do them, what pan to use, what heat to use. It really depends on your specific situation and how many eggs you're using, what the quality of eggs is. These are not the highest quality eggs, being just cheap eggs bought from Aldi. Eggs will do, and that's what we're doing right now. But for us, 1 stick of butter in a decent sized pan. We can use a large burner because eggs cook very quickly and they're very delicate, so you don't need to distribute the heat as evenly since they will all cook at about the same time. So, in case you don't know how to crack an egg, that's an important skill to know how to use. Again, practice. I started doing this when I was like 7 or 8, and I have dropped plenty of eggshells into the mix in my short time here. So, practice. But here's how we do this. Okay, so you hold it 3 fingers, bracing with the 4th one, so it's nice and sturdy. Then gently tap a couple times, or give it a good hard tap. There we go, till it cracks. Thumb in there, thumbnail, and how I do it, 2 fingers here, fingers bracing here, and kind of get it in like this, and then crack, crack, crack. There. So what I'm doing is I'm squeezing on the side here, supporting like this, and these fingers pull while this pushes it up. There we go, successful. That has kept all the eggshell out of the egg, and here, just put it here. So let's try that again. If you have any on your finger, you want to wipe that off so that you don't get it. Whoop. There we go. So you don't get it in the mix. Let's try that again. Fingers up here, brace it down here. One or 2 hard taps. Point. There we go. In here, brace it against the back, and then lift. If you're lifting the lid, off, and dump it in there like that. Now, if you get really good and you want to get really adventurous, you can do 2 eggs in one hand, but you kind of have to have hands of a certain size, and you have to be willing to drop some eggshells in there. So that's more of a stunt trick than a useful skill. I prefer to whip these up with a whisk inside the bowl. Break up the yolks first. That helps them to whip up more evenly. And then we're going to whisk these until they are an even yellow all the way across. Let me set this up here. Alright, here we go. Now, what you want to do to whip these, this goes here, scrapes across the bottom, comes across the top, and scrapes again. Move this before I knock the bowl off the edge. Alright, let's look at this. Now, you can see, maybe you can see that in the camera. There is some egg white that we haven't beaten up yet. Definitely want to keep mixing. Got some there, and there, and there, so we're going to keep mixing. Make sure you can see all that. Alright, there's a little bit more. A little bit more. Here, let me get my shadow out of the way. A little bit more there. So let's put that up. Alright. So, I don't see any spots of unmixed egg white. It is very important to mix all of the egg whites into the egg mixture, because when you go to cook them, they will not mix very well, and then when you serve it, you will have these gloopy bits of white egg blob sort of thing that didn't cook as quickly as the rest of it, and it is unpalatable and frankly rather disgusting. So you whip it up very evenly, very thoroughly, and we are going to wait until this butter melts. Here, let me adjust the camera again. Here we go. So, butter's melting. Now you want to wait until the pan is hot enough that when you move the butter to this side, you're going to put some water, just a couple drips of water in this part where there isn't any butter, and the water should sizzle. Usually, that is about the time when the stick of butter will melt. But again, it depends on how much butter you're using, the pan that you're using, and the heat source that you're using. This is an electric stove, so if you're using a gas stove, it might be different. If you're using a different electric stove, it could be different. And if you're doing it over the fire, it's definitely going to be different. Frankly, I prefer the taste of eggs cooked over the fire. They definitely have a unique flavor, but it's a little more tricky, and it requires building a fire, which I'm not the best at, and that would be a separate episode entirely. So, for the sake of brevity, we are using the electric stove. Alright, so the butter is melted. Let's get our hand wet. I'm just going to use a couple drops of tap water. It shouldn't be too many pollutants there, but if you are concerned about it, you could use filtered water. Go to the sink, get it wet. Alright, so here we go. Whoops. Okay, well, I'll just drip it in there. Okay, well, it doesn't work because I don't have 3 hands, but I know that the pan is hot enough. So, here we go. I'm going to take the mixture, pour it quickly into the center there. Alright, and we're not going to use the whisk to stir up the eggs, because as they cook, they will get caught in the whisk. Now, this is the part that I don't really have practice on. I haven't done eggs in a while, but I practiced over the weekend, so I've brushed up on it a little bit. We are going to wait until this center bit on the bottom, this top bit, you can't really see it. Maybe you can't see it in the camera, but there's kind of a clear or a translucent area up top, so we can see that the stuff on the bottom is beginning to cook. When we see that the middle has set up, we're going to start stirring everything toward the middle, because that's the central heat. So then we will push the cooked stuff away to the edge, and the uncooked stuff into the middle. That's the plan. So we're going to wait a bit. I will cut and come back when we actually can do that. Alright, well, that doesn't take very long. Eggs are definitely something you cannot walk away from. I had the camera off for about 30-45 seconds, and then it's bubbling up. So I'll show you here. So again, we might be limited by camera quality, but the heat is beginning to rise up through this, and I can see the ends underneath it kind of shaking, which means the heat pockets are bubbling up under the cooked parts of the egg. So what we're going to do, we're going to stir across with a flat seat. There you go, starting to cook. So we're going to push it away from the middle. Push it to the middle, and then away from the middle. To the middle, and then away from the middle. Basically, you're just going across. There we go. Let's see. So, timing on eggs is the second part that I would say as most important. Not how you whip them up, not how you stir them. Number one is practice, number two is timing. Unlike porridge, which will hold its heat for a long time, eggs do not hold heat for a long time. So if you're going to cook eggs, you want about, I'd say, well, really, have everybody sitting at the table when you bring the eggs out, because they taste best when they are hot. The hotter, the better. Now, we might actually be able to pull this off because the porridge is done. Oh, that looks so good. Well, I'm not sure where we left off. So I apologize if I repeat something here. But right in the middle of recording, the phone said, "Oh, hey, you don't have enough storage." I haven't gotten rid of the previous episodes. So, as we were saying here, keep stirring the eggs. Practice and timing is important. We might be able to pull it off this time because I have had a bit of practice over the weekend, and the porridge is already done. So we may be able to go straight from the stove to serving, which would be fantastic because eggs taste best when they are hot, 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 hot. So, here we go. We're making progress. So as you can see here, a lot of this is cooked. We're going to keep stirring. Now I have not found a way to keep the eggs from sticking to the bottom. So there will be a thin layer of cooked egg that is stuck to the bottom. You can see that here. I think, yeah, there you go. But you keep stirring, keep stirring. In fact, as much as you can expose the eggs to the bottom of the pan, the quicker they will cook, the more evenly they'll cook. The important thing is to keep stirring them and, let's see, yes, keep stirring them and keep them evenly exposed to the heat as much as possible. We're actually going to pull these off of the pan, off of the heat, when they are slightly undercooked, because they will continue to cook in the heat of the pan and in their own heat. As they have absorbed the heat and we keep adding more, they will heat up. So, really what you want to do is you want to stir it until you see nothing liquid. It shouldn't run. This is it. Alright. So, remove it from the heat, turn the heat off. See, there's nothing flowing here. There's nothing liquid. By the time we serve this, it'll be cooked, and that'll be it. Now, there's something that in my haste I forgot. Seasoning the eggs. Now, if you cook them well, they naturally have a flavorful, kind of salty flavor, but a little extra doesn't hurt. So, actually, if we were to have put seasonings in this, you put them in to the mixture while you're whipping them up. I'm not going to add it to this because it's not going to absorb the flavor. We will serve it with salt and pepper on the side, and we like to have a little bit of hot sauce with it too. So that's how we will serve it. This has already cooked some more since we moved away from it. Keep Basically, keep stirring it. What I found is keep stirring it until you serve it. Because if you take it, move it there, leave it, the heat from the pan will suck the moisture out of the bottom layer of eggs. So whoever gets served last will have less than the ideal eggs. They'll have kind of dry, sticky eggs, which is not what we want. So that is it. Lovely eggs. They will be fully cooked by the time we serve them. In future, I really should whip it up some more because there's some of the egg white that didn't get mixed up there. But that will cook just fine by the time we serve it. And that is it. Scrambled eggs. Take a couple. Practice. Keep practicing. You'll only get better.